Hello and a very warm welcome to Macstaff live broadcasting, wherever you are in the world and whatever time you're watching this, you're very, very welcome. And as always, I'm first of all, it's to welcome the Managing Director of Macstaff, Anthony McCormack. Ant, how are you?
Yeah, hi, really good. Thanks, Martin.
Good.
Good to speak to you, and thanks, obviously, everybody for joining us from the World Wide Web. Looking forward to this one.
Today, we are looking at your career and the big picture, but at this moment, it's just important to say if you are keen on following future videos that we're going to be doing here, please hit the subscribe button and the bell, which will keep you informed of any videos that will be coming up in the near future. You can follow us on social media as well, all across the channels, and Macstaff website is macstaff.co.uk. But for the time being, let's crack on with today's broadcast. And as we said, it's about your career in the big picture. And the career is right up there with things that keeps people awake at night and that we stress over for days and days on end about what to do next and where it's going to take us. But strangely, our long-term planning for such a serious and big event is very limited at times, myself included. So today we want to look at why that is, and Anthony's going to give us some ideas about how you can actually start planning for a long way in the future with your career and the steps you can make in the short term to help those long-term goals come true. Anthony, let's start at the start really. Why do we spend looking at short-term goals and values with careers and spend very little time looking long-term about what we want to achieve?
Yeah, it's definitely a kind of a factor, isn't it? When you think about it, we spend too much time worrying potentially, don't we? And too little time planning, or just kind of sailing through like with our ignorance is bliss and what will be type mentality. But so it's not really a thing to do career planning, is it? You might like have somebody speak to you about it once, like in your GCSEs at school, mightn't you? But it's not like people take you to one side every few years and say, where are you on track? But we don't know what we want. That's the problem, isn't it? It's a big question. It's a simple question, but it's a really big question that people don't get to. And if people are like me to a certain extent, if something takes more than 5 minutes to work out, it's like, oh yeah, kind of move that to one side, sort of thing. But there's other things as well. It's like we don't dare to dream, do we? Like our kind of flame of passion and motivation or whatever can kind of be dim or go out sometimes. And if you start to make a plan even just to yourself, or especially if you share it to other people, we don't want that accountability, do we? Or potentially we don't. Maybe we've got like apathy, maybe we're too comfortable just kind of doing the day-to-day. And I appreciate there's we've all got a million priorities, haven't we? Certainly other things to be thinking about, as well, or instead of this career planning thing. So we live in a short-term world, don't we? And there's short-termism isn't going to help us with our career planning, but it's definitely an important factor. And I'm glad we're kind of helping bring it to the fore. And I encourage people to start applying themselves to this issue.
And with that short-termism, do you accept it's hard for some people to plan long-term when in reality lots of us have been through spells where we don't even know what we want to do in that short term, and it's hard to make those decisions about the next move, where we want to go next, let alone looking for where that move's going to take us to the next and the next and the next move.
Yeah, it sure is. And, we're all, overwhelmed potentially, aren't we? And it's been a tough couple of years and all that. And, just fulfilling the day job or, your main kind of responsibilities is kind of maxing us out. Like we're at 100% already. So this kind of thought and planning, it takes a weekend, a holiday, or even the time that people have had during kind of lockdown, haven't they? To just, take stock, reflect, and reprioritize. It's kind of more that kind of a cycle. And in terms of the short-termism and the lack of planning, there's just a lack of education around this issue, isn't there? Like I say, aside from your career or your career advisor taking you to one side at school, it's not really something that we're encouraged to do, and there's a lack of resources out there to a certain extent as to how to go about it. But we're going to give you a few practical pointers today, definitely. And it's ever more important, I suppose, like traditionally, you go 20, 30, 40 years with a company, don't you? They pretty much put your next step in front of you, and then you get a carriage clock at the end, and you waved on your way. But these days, people might have multiple jobs in their career, or even multiple careers in their lifetime as well. So it's a dynamic situation, and you can, take advantage of, opportunities. And, if you're, in charge, and nobody else is going to take responsibility, are they? If you're in charge of your own career and job search and goals and planning, then you can certainly capitalize on your strengths.
I remember that feeling when you first got our first job of sheer joy that we're bringing a wage in, and personally I've got a clue what to do with the limited money I was earning at the time because I was still living at home, and it's a fantastic thing. That's the last time you'd ever start thinking about looking long term into your own future. So when in an ideal, is there an ideal time when you should start considering that? And on the other side of it, what are the dangers of not doing that? And if you shoot off in a direction that really doesn't suit you?
Yeah, kind of those were the days, weren't they? Yeah, you took me back.
They were the days.
Income was low, wasn't it? But you had disposable income, and now people, we're all against the wire, aren't we? Because people live to their means or even beyond their means. So there's a lesson there as well. Like, the spend less than you earn is equally as important as just trying to earn more all the time. And it's more, isn't it? And it's capitalism and consumerism, and we're kind of on that rat race. But again, you can make your own priorities. You can step away. So anyway, that's a by the by. But when should we start planning for the future? So it's like when to plant a tree, isn't it? The best time is kind of 10 years ago. But next best time is now. You can't kind of change where you've come from and where you are now even, but you can certainly kind of make a new plan, set off in a new direction, and change the path and change the ending. So now, today, or this weekend, or as soon as you can take a breather, would be definitely my advice. You're not necessarily going to complete the project or the process, are you? But just bring into the forefront of your minds that who am I? Where am I going? How am I going to get there? All those things are going to be important, and it's an ongoing process then, because, as I say, in a dynamic employment market, and with industries and countries changing all the time, like the landscape shifting, isn't it? So you're always going to be wanting to consider, and we might go on to this, but your own strengths, weaknesses, what opportunities and threats are out there, and plan accordingly.
Yeah. How important are things away from your job, and the home life, the commutes, the quality of your own life? And I've known people who are quite happy to run with a so-called average job because it gives them all the rest that they want to factor into making their life wholesome and worthwhile living. So do you find a lot of that yourself in your line of work in recruitment, and is it something you'd advocate yourself when trying to pitch that sort of perfect work-life balance?
Yeah, definitely. I'd advocate on and considering, all the things that are going on in your life and your family and your hobbies and interests and charity work or whatever it is, as well as your career. Your career is only one part. I'd correct you and other people, who are in their pursuit of work-life balance, and to say, there's not a work-life balance. There's just life. How you choose to spend your life, and how much effort and time you allocate to different things. Obviously that's your call, but it's all coming out of one part, so to speak, isn't it? People say, do something you love and you'll never work a day in your life, don't you? So that's utopia. You kind of want to maybe be aiming for that, because then you're not trying to balance that seesaw, are you, of like, I've given and so much, and work's costed me so much that I need to try and stack up some other things on the other end of the seesaw, like good holidays and good money or whatever, to almost make up for it. You kind of want to do something, and think more holistically. So how you categorize things is up to you, but definitely people get more fulfillment and just perform better as well when they're on track with their purpose. In fact, just quick mention, this is the seminal book on that subject, Simon Sinek's Start With Why, and I followed it up actually because that was a bit kind of theoretical with the find your why, and then how do you go about kind of identifying your your purpose, your destiny, and you're building then a career or a life that is in line with that, because that's when things are good and right, and you haven't got that integrity gap of who you are now and who you're supposed to be, sort of thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's a bit
yeah.
of a Robin Sharmaism anyway. But yeah, so you could get the fulfillment and satisfaction and various from other things. Yeah, work, family, faith, charity. You know, how you spend your, what was it, 1,840 minutes a day or something like that. And your life's limited, isn't it? Each day you kind of rip off a day token, and you have, you know, I've spent that one, I've spent that one, I've spent that one, and in the end, you know, there's going to be none left. So have a think about that.
Wise words indeed. We would, but if we were starting our own business up, we would always do a SWOT analysis generally to see what challenges are to ourselves being successful. So, is that something you would advocate on a personal level as well, to do one of those and see as an individual what your strengths and weaknesses are and what there are around there to stop you achieving what you want to achieve? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's a good traditionally business tool, isn't it? But it absolutely applies to you personally and your job and your career as well. So, you know, for anybody who's not familiar, SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, like strengths and weaknesses. Well, that's more like personal, that's internal, isn't it? And how you can play to your strengths, how you can mitigate your weaknesses. And then on the opportunities and threats side, that's almost like more external. So, you know, how can I maximize the opportunities? How can I, you know, minimize or counter the threats? Just put like a grid onto a sheet of A4 paper or whatever, 4 squares, start writing away. And again, it seems a little abstract, but you'll kind of, through the process of that, you'll think some really kind of useful things, and you'll perhaps identify things that you hadn't really noticed. You know, we talked before about like Kodak and Blockbuster, hadn't we? It's like, you know, if they'd have been not asleep at the wheel, you know, 2 great companies that are just, you know, in obviously the junkyard now, aren't they? So, you know, Kodak decided, let's not bother with digital pictures. They invented digital pictures, but they had the mindset that they were a chemical company and that they, you know, exposed negatives and things like that. And, you know, they didn't want to go away from that, and just totally missed that opportunity. And likewise with Blockbuster, you know, they missed a threat, basically, didn't they, of industry change, technology change, and you know, ultimately a competitor, Netflix, coming in and cleaning up, whereby people don't need to go to the video store anymore. You know, they changed the game, basically, and they've partly spotted an opportunity as a business there, Netflix, haven't they? But they've also leveraged their strengths. You know, they'd done a good SWOT analysis. They knew they were good at marketing, good at digital, and they'd you know, been creative, imaginative, you know, and had the tenacity to go through and just, well, we said it, didn't I, to change the game, and that's how you win the game, isn't it? By inventing a new game and being the first and prime player on it. And obviously there's, you know, Apple and iTunes and things like that. People, you know, don't go down to Virgin Records anymore, do they, and get the CDs? No. So
and forward thinking
on the ball.
Well, exactly. And forward thinking is so very, very important. And a lot of things that have happened, I've noticed over the last couple of years, is that people have started, we always used to refer, like you said, to the 40 years at a company and a carriage clock. But now it's not only that people move more often, but people now often have multiple income streams to support themselves and the family, and also to reduce their risk at the same time, isn't it? And that's one of the things to bear in mind as we go on, because that's now becoming more and more of the norm when people start thinking about their careers.
Yeah, which brings it more like running a business, isn't it? Because that's the you know, what in recruitment we call the gig economy. People have got different, you know, portfolio businesses and activities, and yeah, it's a spread bet against having all your eggs in one basket. And also, you know, if you're inclined to like the variety and challenge, and or you're entrepreneurial, then it certainly, you know, helps you know, get a broader, more fulfilling role, doesn't it? And just going back for a sec as well, like you said about, you know, somebody's happy with, you know, an average job and things like that. And I'm definitely not a career snob about this. So yeah, if people are happy doing kind of noble work as a, you know, a cleaner, a baker, you know, a tradesman, that's great. If that's, you know, genuinely, you know, what's in line with your skills and aspirations, then definitely do that. You know, we're just aiming for, you know, contentment, or to meet your other goals. Like, there's no prescription. Don't like follow the crowd, or like I've said before, get enticed to try and climb the ladder or whatever. You might not like what you find when you get there. But you know, just to just to question and be the devil's advocate on that as well. It's like, are you really happy to, for argument's sake, settle, or has the flame gone out a little bit? Is it again a not daring to dream thing? Is it a fear of failure thing? A good question, to ask is, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And if you,
interesting.
that's probably what you really want to do. And failure isn't impermanent, is it? Falling down and getting back up again, whilst kind of we don't really like it as adults do, because it makes it feel as uncomfortable, it's embarrassing and things like that. That is literally the route to success. Was it Alexander Bell who invented the light bulb? I'll probably make myself an idiot if it's not, but he just said, well, I haven't failed, I've just found 99 ways that don't work to make a light bulb, and he persevered, and there you go, ding.
Absolutely. And that reminds me of the WD-40 story as well. Good for any blokes out there who like the DIY.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe I'm telling a WD-40 story, because my DIY knowledge is about as limited as it gets. But it was called that because he made the correct formula on the 40th attempt, apparently.
Right. Yeah. Good lesson in the name there for sure.
Hence the name.
Mm-hmm.
We've done lots of these videos now about we're giving tips about people on how to get jobs and look at their careers. And one of the things we come back to quite often is that person that feels just stuck, that's stuck in a job and stuck in a career in an industry that they feel they can't get out of it because they've done it for a certain amount of time. But even for people like that, there's plenty of ways they can move forward, isn't there, Ant? And learning the transferable skills or adding to your value within that role can give you the tools you need to actually get out and do something a bit different. Talk a little bit about what people can do there to move their career on from somewhere where they feel stuck.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely empathize and yes, and respect. Out to everybody who's kind of grafting, kind of day in day out to do the necessary. But feeling stuck is not a good feeling, and that can be in a job, can't it, or an industry, or in a financial situation. And this process is part of the working out a goal and a direction, so that at least you kind of work your way out of it, don't you? It's it was a Winston Churchill thing of if you're going through hell, keep going. Don't camp there. You've got to find a way out. It kind of makes me think of the the airplane crash people. It was so bad they started having to cannibalize each other to survive, and they couldn't see a way out. But then I think one of the guys said, I've worked it out, I know the direction, it's that way. And he was kind of making it up, I think, on on reflection once the story got kind of told afterwards. But it gave people the hope and the motivation to at least set off, get started, and they actually made it to safety in the end. But in a less dramatic scenario, then you can make some plans for training and retraining. The best investment that you can make realistically is in yourself, isn't it? And do that strategically, in line with training or experience that's going to move you in the right direction. That's either going to be to help you meet your goal, or at least get stepping stone towards that goal. Because the thing is, we're not necessarily going in the right direction, are we? And it's not like we're just kind of coasting in the wrong direction. Sometimes we're sprinting in the wrong direction, in the fulfillment of our daily duties, and you got your nose to the grindstone, blinkers on, and so on, and you don't notice then how far you're going off track. But it's that
telling yourself to take a break, isn't it? And take a break and step back and look at things instead of get away from those blinkers, take the blinkers off, and actually think, where do you want to be? And then thinking, how can I get there? What do I need to do to get there?
So let's do this process and do this journey. And the stuck thing as well, that's coming from two places. I think one is the, have I not got the value, that the skills that are transferable to another industry, that I can sell, and that another job is prepared to buy me for, sort of thing. So that's where the investment in the skills, training and experience comes. But sometimes the stuck is just maybe it's the internal or the personal stuff. Is it a lack of imagination? Is it a lack of flexibility that's making me feel stuck? Am I kind of letting myself off the hook, saying, I can't do anything else or achieve anything else, when actually if you just kind of got up and were brave and did it, then things might be different. Like you probably remember I moved to Canada, didn't I, with my previous employer? Like so I was in small town Hinckley, Leicestershire, and then next minute kind of Toronto, Canada, and people were falling off their bar stools about it. It's like, well, people don't do that, do they? And I had the kind of courage to take that kind of leap of faith, and fortunately my kind of wife backed me on it, and we've had a richer life experience and probably a few steps up the career ladder as well. But you've got to take your chances, sort of thing, haven't you?
And looking back, how tough a decision was that to make at the time?
Yeah, it was a big decision, but and again, in hindsight, if we knew everything, and people say this about building their own houses and all sorts, don't they? It's like if we'd have known all the problems and challenges and steps that it would take to go, and even more like to come back actually to a certain extent, then we might have chickened out.
Right.
You don't know what you don't know, but sometimes it's a matter of kind of burn your boats, isn't it? So fully commit to the thing, and that's how you make a success of it.
Okay, we talk a lot of the time about the balance of we just spoke about the work-life balance, or as you just say, it's just life, but getting those things right. And you can often sneer at people who are financially driven, but at the same time, having some financial freedom can also enable you to do lots of things that you do want in life. And I think that's a fair comment for everybody, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's easy to say for the people with money that money's not everything, isn't it? And then it's normally the people without money that are sneering at the people with money as well. So it's kind of one of those. But money isn't a very fulfilling kind of end in itself, is it? It shouldn't necessarily be your goal, although it might be part of it. Entrepreneurs will say, it's not, I don't do it for the money, but money's the way that I keep score. So I've got 1 million, 10 million, a billion, or whatever. So yeah, it's a measure of your success. But yeah, like you touched on, money gives you choices, doesn't it? And a good goal is financial freedom. So yeah, definitely keep that into account. Because your job, or your career might be the primary, money stream for your life goals and things like that.
Sure.
But not always, because if you are entrepreneurially minded, the passive income is often kind of touted as the key, really, or having certainly multiple streams of income, which is what you were saying about the gig economy and like portfolio businesses and things like that. But and come back to the Warren Buffett thing as well. It's like, sure, earn more, but maybe spend less as well. Give yourself that buffer, and you're back to the feeling then that we kind of were nostalgic about when you actually had disposable income before you loaded all these commitments
way back.
But my encouragement would be to do things for you, do things that you want, not that you think people want you to do, or that you think people will be impressed by. If, like you say, you want the simple life, a basic or whatever word for it job, then if that's in line with your kind of personal and family priorities, then superb. Can't knock that. Say the travelers community, like quite often the happiest band of people with no money, aren't they? And just kids playing around in the fields and the streets and things like that. And that's a different kind of lifestyle and life choice. And who's to knock it? Let's just run our own race.
I think it'd be quite nice to finish out with, we're talking about long-term picture here in careers, but do you ever think about what your actual legacy might be? I know it's something we always just seem to assume that's in films and for high achievers and big earners, but there's no reason why the rest of us shouldn't be aiming for a legacy or hoping to have a legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where your purpose comes in, doesn't it? It's like, are you doing something bigger than yourself? Are you making an impact? Is there going to be something that, people are going to remember you or what you've done after you've gone, sort of thing? So, I hope people don't think it's morbid, because as you say, people don't really think about that sort of thing, do they? Especially not, kind of younger people or more career-minded people. It's just, how much can I amass, in my lifetime? But, as they say at the end of the game, all all the pieces go back in the box. And
Yeah.
you know, it's quite often good to think about how you want to finish and then kind of work back from there. It's Cocktail, isn't it? I thought I'd mention, because with us two both looking so much like Tom Cruise that
Thank you.
yeah, he's like, you know, Brian Flanagan. No, like Senator Brian Flanagan. When he's writing his epitaph, it's like, no, like billionaire governor Brian Flanagan, like whose self-propelled meteoric rise to fame and fortune make even JD Rockefeller jealous. And you know, he's daring to dream. He's you know, thinking big, and like proving a bit of a fan of the movie, I don't know, but you know, he goes on to reflect and make different choices, doesn't he? He finds like his new passion. He, you know, finds love. He learns lessons from you know, his departed friend, and he sets off on a new plan. It's like Cocktails and Dreams, like white and pink, blinkety blink, from remembering correctly, and happy days.
And for anyone under the age of about 38, 39, you can find more information about the film on Google if you want to check afterwards.
Yeah, let me share some wisdom from Robin Sharma as well. Like he's my main guru, really. I'm actually doing a training course that follows this book, The Everyday Hero Manifesto, and one chapter, like chapter 95, it's a serious book, is life regrets of people on their deathbeds. So in a way, what you want to achieve in your career and in your life wants to be things that avoids kind of ending up with these kind of 5 regrets, I guess. 1, they wish they had greater perspective. 2, they wish they hadn't worried so much about what other people think. 3, they wish they hadn't wasted so much time. 4, they wish they'd enjoyed the pilgrimage of life more. That's kind of, you know, smelling the roses, isn't it, as you go. And number 5, they wish they'd been more kind and loving.
Right.
So yeah, do your career, but consider the even bigger picture as well of life and legacy, and do things that you're kind of proud of at the end, and I guess don't do things ideally that you're not.
I think that's a wonderful point to finish on, today for this broadcast. Fantastic. This is the final broadcast of a series of a dozen live broadcasts we've been doing, which you can all find on our YouTube for free on the YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button and go and have a look at some of the other videos we've done, which are all offer tips of all sorts across the board on how to update your CV, look for new jobs, secure the right salary, etc., etc. They'll be packed with fantastic information, and basically me picking the brains of Anthony, who's had 20 years in the industry, and sticking on YouTube. So please enjoy that. As I said before, you can find out more about Macstaff at www.macstaff.co.uk. You can follow us on all the socials, and Anthony McCormack is on LinkedIn as well. You can also find a lot of the details what we've been speaking about on the videos in a book that Anthony has written called Job Search, Job Done. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, as usual, got a copy kind of nearby, and I've been a long time in recruitment, helped a lot of people with, you know, job search activities, and I put it all together in one place. Job Search, Job Done's available on Amazon, so you can you know, get granular about having a good CV, preparing for an interview, negotiating an offer, and all that stuff. But as with the discussion today, it's like, you know, considering your career and the bigger picture as well. And you know, I don't think there's too much out there that gives good advice on job search and career planning. So definitely recommend that. There's a huge upside in getting it right, isn't there? And if there's other you know, books and publications that you think are useful, you know, in this regard as well, do flag them like in the comments.
And also, if you've got any questions on today's broadcast or any of the other ones, just pop them up in the comments as well, and you could ask Anthony for some help on any issues you're finding or any advice you'd like to achieve. That just leaves me, Martin Crowson, the chance to say once again, thanks very much for your time, and it's been nice to see you. Yeah, likewise. Have a great day, folks. Reach out to me if you need, and good luck with your career planning. Great stuff. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll catch up with you soon here on Macstaff Live. All the best. Bye-bye.